Hi everyone! So today we're going to be talking about 10 baby girl names that I really loved, but I didn't end up choosing. And so I wanted to share with you the ones that I grew really attached to in hopes that maybe you'll find some ideas or inspiration from these names, because for me it was really important to find names that could be pronounced in both my native language, Spanish, and most of these can be pronounced well in English. Who knows, maybe one of these names will end up being your little beautiful baby girl's name. Oh my gosh, that introduction already, I'm out of breath. Can you tell I'm 7 months and a half already? That's why it was so important for me to finalize my baby girl's name. I didn't finalize and select her name until I was like 6 months and a half. Now I'm 7 months and a half. Look at how big she is. She's growing so much. Oh my goodness, I feel like Santa when I laugh. But yes, stick around. Okay, so the first name that I really like is Ava. Now, Ava has this Latin origin meaning life. I learned taken up after the Hebrew name Eve, which is a feminine name after Chava. There's a lot of Chavas that I know, and maybe your husband is or somebody that you really care about, they go by the name of Chava, so maybe you can call your little baby girl after them. And that's one of my biggest tips, is when thinking of names, try to find again, here we go with the out of breath. Oh, we'll get through this. Okay, really try to think of family members' names or loved ones that you really care about, and then Google some variations of their names. For me, Ava was really special because my mother's name, who I love very much, her name is Eva. That's why it was a really special name for me. And then the second name is Viviana. So Viviana can be spelled either with a B, as in your beautiful baby girl, or Viviana with a V. Viviana, when I looked at the meaning that I have written here, it meant like alive or lively, and kind of like very vibrant personality. The third name, Aretsi, means siempre será querida, or she will always be loved. And Aretsi was just so fitting because the more I see this little baby girl grow inside me, the more I fall in love with her, and I know that, I'm always going to love her unconditionally. Something similar to Aretsi is Atsiri. Now, Atsiri has an Aztec origin, so it's very unique. Not many people have it, and I had a difficult time finding like a specific meaning behind it. But I found that their personality is like very leadership oriented. They are very compassionate, have a big heart, and care very deeply about things. So just when I read the personality, I thought how beautiful to have a daughter, with a name that fits that personality. For the fifth name, Aymara. Aymara means goddess, and I really didn't choose it because of that definition, but I just really love the pronunciation, Aymara. The sixth name is Ileana, and Ileana means God has answered. I kept getting drawn to this name over and over. And when I looked up the definition and read God has answered, I kind of teared up a little bit because we had a miscarriage back in 2016, 2 years ago. And even though that was an unexpected pregnancy, just like this little baby girl was, it just came back full circle that God had a plan for us, and He has answered, my wishes of wanting to be a mother. So everything was in divine timing and His timing, even though that's a whole nother story where I thought I was so unprepared for this pregnancy. But you know, they children will just come the moment that they're ready, and that God has that plan for us. So I thought Ileana and that name, definition was so cute, but also because Ileana, you can make nicknames from that. You can call her Eli, you can call her Anna, and I encourage you to think about names that you could derive nicknames from, because for me that was important. I wanted to make sure that if the name was long and not a short one, that I could shorten it and call her a nickname. Now, really similar to Ileana, the seventh name is Ela. The definition was beautiful fairy goddess, but again, it wasn't because of the definition. I just really loved the pronunciation. I kept getting drawn to these names, and every time I would be drawn to a name, I would write every time I saw or heard a name that I really liked, and then later when I had time, I would go back and look at the definition. So hopefully that's a tip that you can take, because then I would, if I didn't write it down, I found that I would have a very difficult time remembering what was that name again. And so having a little running list of the names that you're thinking of in the moment that you think of, or just jot them down really quickly in your phone if you're out of the house. The other name is Anali. I like it more because of its pronunciation. It's very unique. Its definition is fury or fire. The ninth name that I really like is Carelli. It was very difficult to find a meaning because it was so unique, it had no meaning. Carelli is very similar to the 10th name I discovered, which was Areli. And Areli can be spelled with an I or a Y at the end. If it's spelled with an I, it means Lion of God or the voice of God. But if you spell it with an Y at the end, it means brave, courageous, outgoing. And those are all beautiful traits for your baby girl. So those were my 10 names. I really hope that you were inspired from them, and that the tips and ideas that I shared will help make this a lot easier process than it was for me. I did struggle a little bit and because I couldn't think of names that I really loved, I found that these things helped make it easier for me at the end, and that's why I was able to choose. So another thing, if you can't decide between two names, like I couldn't at the very end, I just chose them both. So you can do that too. All in all, whichever name you end up choosing, I know that it's going to suit your little love bug so well, because at the end you'll just know, you'll keep repeating that name over and over in your head. You'll share it with family members, and while they may be hesitant at first, but then you begin noticing that they're beginning to use that name, it just begins feeling right, and eventually you'll when you least expect it, you'll come up with a name and finalize that decision. So don't make this one more thing that you're worrying about and stressing about. It'll come, even if it's later on like it was for me. And I'm just so excited for you, for me. I can't wait to introduce my little baby girl to you in the future with her name. And I was just thinking, like, I just went through that whole video and didn't even introduce myself. But I'm Yesenia, and if you're interested in tips and tricks on how to achieve a more fulfilling and balanced life, then subscribe to my channel, like this video. You'll definitely be receiving more content about budgeting, family, productivity, and much more, like wellness. Essentially everything that's vying for our attention, and we're trying to balance it all. See you around.